Grace and peace to you, friends. I wanted to just talk about something real quick. If you guys ever wondered about my hats, because I don't know if everyone's ever noticed, I wear a lot of different types of hats. A while back, I had a desire to collect hats from every national park that I've been to. So this hat has a bear on it. It's actually from the Redwood National Forest that my wife and I traveled to back in September. So that's something, if you ever notice, I wear tons of different hats. They're all from different parks. So that's kind of just a brief look into my life. Anyways, this month I wanted to talk about David and just his whole story. So all throughout June, we're going to look at some of the bigger events that took place in his life. And we could probably spend a long time talking about David, but I'm going to try to summarize his life in a matter of 6 videos. So we'll see where we go with that. So today I'm going to be reading from 1 Samuel chapter 16, and this is verses 1, and we're going to go through 13. So, the Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you mourn for Saul, since I have rejected him as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king." But Samuel said, "How can I go? Saul will hear about it and kill me." The Lord said, "Take a heifer with you and say, 'I have come to sacrifice to the Lord.' Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what to do. You are to anoint for me the one I indicate." Samuel did what the Lord said. When he arrived at Bethlehem, the elders of the town trembled when they met him. They asked, "Do you come in peace?" Samuel replied, "Yes, in peace. I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Consecrate yourselves and come to the sacrifice with me." Then he consecrated Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice. When they arrived, Samuel saw Eliab and thought, "Surely the Lord's anointed stands here before the Lord." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Then Jesse called Abinadab and had him pass in front of Samuel. But Samuel said, "The Lord has not chosen this one either." Jesse then had Shammah pass by, but Samuel said, "Nor has the Lord chosen this one." Jesse had 7 of his sons pass before Samuel, but Samuel said to him, "The Lord has not chosen these." So he asked Jesse, "Are these all the sons you have?" "There is still the youngest," Jesse answered, "but he is tending the sheep." Samuel said, "Send for him. We will not sit down until he arrives." So he sent and had him brought in. He was ruddy, with a fine appearance and handsome features. Then the Lord said, "Rise and anoint him. He is the one." So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came upon David in power. Samuel then went to Ramah. So, I think the big thing to take away from this is many of you probably have heard this story, is just that whole point of verse 11, I'll read again. So he asked Jesse, "Are these all the sons you have?" "There is still the youngest," Jesse answered, "but he is tending the sheep." Samuel said, "Send for him. He will not sit down until he arrives." So, the whole idea that in ancient times, there's a belief that the shepherds were kind of the lowest class. And the fact that, we look at this story and we look at how David was almost not even going to be considered because he's the youngest. He could have been the smallest. Anything like this. But the point here is that God's kingdom is oftentimes referred to as the upside down kingdom, right? The first will be last. We look to outward appearance. We look to different people and expect certain things. And then we look to other people who might have a heart of gold or a heart of pure intention, a heart that God would see fit. And because of what is surrounding that heart, we don't give any shot or any chance to that person. I look at all of this and think of how often do we see kind of the unassuming people rise up? I mean, everyone loves an underdog story. I think we can even see that throughout the Bible. I know we can as well. But we look to David as kind of this encouragement. Saul was basically being, as the first verse there stated, is being rejected. And he's not being rejected as a person. Yes, there were still sins and things that Saul needed to seek forgiveness. But he was looking to Samuel to be able to publicly worship with him, so that not to be rejected by Samuel, so that people would still give the support to Saul. But in that moment, Saul is being rejected by God. He's being rejected by the Lord as the king. He's not. Saul's time is now done, is essentially what's happening. And Samuel's being commanded to go find the next, king, as the people would point to. But everything we know is that God's way of doing things is oftentimes completely opposite to what we would expect, or what man's way would be of doing things. We see that with Jesus. Right? Everyone expected him to be a great military leader, and he was pretty much anything but that. But Jesus wasn't a great military leader as he came as his ministry. God's way of doing things is truly like this upside down kingdom, as I have shared. And one thing I would also like to share here is just, what we know of David, right? We know the next story to come is him with Goliath. And this is just a precursor to that. This just sets the stage for kind of that whole feeling of how everyone kind of counted him out. But Samuel didn't, based on the urging from the Lord. You look to that message. Are there any other kids? You have any other kids, Jesse? And I wonder if there was kind of a, I guess there's still the one more. Like, kind of, where's the confidence there? But what's great about the Lord is that truly he looks at the heart. He knows man. He knows people, and what to expect from them, and what really will lead. Because oftentimes, God will put in place something that we would never have imagined, and it's going to turn out better for it. So the next place I want to take us to is the Beatitudes. Matthew 5. And I'm going to read 3 through 5, actually. And it says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth." That's this is where we see all this kind of and the upside down nature of God's kingdom. All of David, he was something that people were not expecting to be. And the message from his account, I think, is true in ministry as well. We try to put ministry in boxing. We try to expect ministry to go a certain way, things to happen a certain way, try to reach people in our own ways. And ultimately, if we're not serving God fully, if we're not listening to His following, if we're not listening to what He's designed for us to do, it will only be harder. And so that's the struggle, and really the desire, I guess, would be that we have to listen to God. That even when it seems like it's going to be difficult, it's going to be confusing, we can't put ministry in a box. And I think that's the message for even this story with David, that we can't look at everything with our own wisdom, with our own knowledge, our own eyes. And lastly, this is something that I've learned in my own walk in ministry, is that God doesn't call the equipped. And I know it's a cliche, but He equips the called. And it's true. Friends, it's true with David. It's true with tons of people, that we oftentimes don't expect. We don't expect God to work in people's lives, and then when He does, we're surprised by it. And we shouldn't. We shouldn't, because if we believe God to be who He is, then we should expect it. Now, in closing, we're going to I just want to share, we're going to keep looking at David's life throughout this month, just talking about, hitting those highlights, and just going to be going on this journey, looking at who David was as a man, and really a precursor to Christ is really what he is. And so I hope you receive this message well today, and that you are blessed and are enjoying the summer. So grace and peace to you. Amen.